Progressive Skills in English.
Now we're going to be having our first skills checkbox in this episode, and you're going to be seeing it right in front of you on the screen right now. So we'll read it together. We're going to recognize time signposts. So time expressions help you understand a lecture. You can predict the tense of the sentence. So for example, we have at that time, which is used in the sentence as past, or these days, which is used in the sentence as present. Remember to learn how to recognize the past time expressions in speech. So for the past, we have in 1984, which is used for the dates, or centuries like in the 14th century, or time periods like in the 1960s. There's also expressions that can be used for this, such as in those days or in the past. We also have at that time, at one time, or many years later. As for the present, we also have some more expressions, like at the present time, today, now or nowadays, and these days. Now let's listen to the first audio track for this episode, and from here we're going to be listening and noting the sentences from other lectures, and we will see which sentence is about the past or the present.
Track 2.4.
1. In 1789, there were a lot of changes in France. 2. In the 1970s, there was a lot of research into sociology. 3. At one time, people thought the mind was in the heart. 4. Later, scientists found that the brain controlled the body. 5. Nowadays, a lot of sociologists talk about the philosopher Confucius. 6. Today, university students study philosophers from ancient Greece. 7. In the 19th century, the term gender studies didn't exist. 8. In 1904, Weber wrote a famous book.
So the first sentence is past. Second sentence, past. Third sentence, past. Fourth sentence, past. The fifth sentence, present. The sixth is present. Seventh is past. And last, the eighth is past. Now let's practice more time phrases. What time is the writer talking about in each of the phrases below? At one time.
Past.
At that time.
Past again.
At the moment.
Present.
At the present time.
Well, this is present.
Currently.
I think present.
In her childhood.
This would be past.
In the 20th century.
Past.
Last week.
Past.
Now.
I guess it's present.
Nowadays.
Present.
Then.
Past.
And yesterday.
It's past.
Okay, perfect. Now we're going to move on to our first vocabulary box. You shall see it in front of you right now on your screen, and we're going to be reading it together. First word we have is aim. Century. Friendship. Human. Nowadays. Present. Safe. And safety. Now you're going to be listening to somewhat a long audio track, and from there you're going to be listening to some verbs and sentences, and I want you to say whether it's present or past in each case.
Track 2.5.
1. Are. 2. Were. 3. became. 4. Become. 5. Go. 6. Went. 7. Grew. 8. Grow. 9. Had. 10. Have.
Track 2.6.
1. He's a sociologist. 2. He was a psychologist. 3. They knew the answer. 4. We know the reason. 5. I made a mistake. 6. They thought about important questions. 7. People say sociology is not a real science. 8. Most of the students take 2 main subjects. 9. The assignment was difficult. 10. He did experiments to check his ideas.
Track 2.7.
1. Predict. 2. Predicted. 3. Contribute. 4. Graduated. 5. Collected. 6. Deleted. 7. Contributed. 8. Record. 9. Delete. 10. Edited. 11. Collect. 12. Graduate. 13. Edit. 14. Recorded.
Track 2.8.
1. We predicted the results. 2. I contribute to tutorials. 3. They graduate in the summer. 4. We collected a lot of data. 5. The scientists record their results in a table. 6. I edited my work.
Now for using prepositions of time. We have some examples, such as on Monday, that it can be used on days of the week, and in, which can be used on months or years, like in 1958 or in May, and at, which can be used for the time of the day, like at 8 o'clock in the evening. So we're going to be reading and solving these sentences together. First one we have, in the 4th century BCE, Plato had ideas about people and groups. Second sentence, the lecture about Weber is on Wednesday. It's in the afternoon at 3 p.m. For the third sentence, Weber wrote a famous book at the beginning of the 20th century. Fourth sentence, in 1838, Comte used the word sociology for the first time. And lastly, in the 20th century, Giddens wrote about society.
Now let's go to some grammar and let's learn how to make the irregular verbs. You will see some boxes on the screen in which we have some verbs that we need to use in the past. Like, for example, bring, well, brought. Buy, bought. Come, came. Do, did. Go, went. Have, had. Leave, left. Make, made. See, saw. Teach, taught. Think, thought. Write, wrote. We have some affirmative sentences in front of you on the screen, and we will make them negative. As you can see, I saw him. I didn't see him. They told me. They didn't tell me. She felt ill. She didn't feel ill. He got a good mark. He didn't get a good mark. They lost the game. They didn't lose the game. I lent him my book. I didn't lend him my book. Now we have some questions and answers. You will be listening to the coming audio track. Listen to the audio track.
Track 2.11.
1. Do you go to university? 2. Have you got a job? 3. Can you drive a car? 4. Would you like to work in a bank? 5. Did you go out last night? 6. Are you a student? 7. Were you late for class today? 8. Have you been to another country? 9. Can you ride a horse? 10. Do you live in a flat?
Can you see the 7 questions that you have on the screen? Complete each question and short answer. Are you English? No, I'm not. Do you like ice cream? No, I don't. Did he speak to you yesterday? Yes, he did. Was she late last week? Yes, she was. Will we meet tomorrow? No, we won't. Are they in the same class at school? Yes, they are. Have you got a car? Yes, I have.
Now we're going to be moving on to the speaking section of human behavior. You will be listening to the audio track and you're going to repeat the words after it.
Track 2.12.
A. Behavior. B. Changes. C. Completely. D. Depend. E. Difference. F. Friendly. G. Important. H. Influences. I. Personality. J. Situation.
And now you're going to listen to a group of students. Listen very well to the discussion.
Track 2.13.
I think behavior and personality are the same thing. You can say he is a very happy person, or you can say he smiles a lot, and it's the same thing. There is no difference between personality and behavior, I think.
Well, I read that behaviour and personality are two completely different things. Behaviour changes depending on your situation, but your personality is always the same. You like some things, but you don't like other things.
But I found an article, it says, I've got a quote here. Personality influences behavior. An aggressive person acts in one way in a situation. In the same situation, a friendly person acts in a different way. So your personality is more important. What do you think?
Okay, but no. I think your behavior is much more important. Because you learn good behavior when you're a child. But your personality changes all the time. Your personality depends on your friends, the places you go, and so on.
And now let's match the students with the opinions below. First sentence we have, behavior is more important than personality.
Well, I think it was student number 4.
That's correct. Personality is more important than behavior.
This is 3.
Yes, that's very correct. Personality and behavior are the same.
It was the first student.
Correct. Personality and behavior are different.
I remember the student 2 said it.
Yes, that's correct. Now we're going to be looking to a group of sentences below, which is going to be about behavior. Number A, an aggressive person acts in one way. Number B, behavior changes for each situation. Number C, in the same situation, a friendly person acts in a different way from an aggressive person. Number D, you learn good behavior when you're a child. And number E, your personality depends on your friends, the places you go, and so on. Now let's move on to our vocabulary box, where we're going to be reading these words together. Act, aggressive, change, difference, influence, personality, predict, psychology.
Now, let's go to more grammatical exercises. We have some sentences in which there is one grammatical mistake in each one. Let's find it and correct it together. A. Psychology and sociology, they both predict human behavior. The mistake is in both. No, the mistake is in they. I don't need they. So it will be psychology and sociology both predict human behavior. B. An aggressive person does act in a different way from a friendly person. Yes, the mistake is in does. I have to say doesn't. So an aggressive person does not act in a different way from a friendly person. What do you think? What about the meaning? The meaning is not right. So an aggressive person acts in a different way from a friendly person. C. My friend and I studying the same subject. Well, the mistake here is in studying. My friend and I study the same subject. Your happiness partially depends on your family. Here, so it will be depends on. Your happiness partially depends on your family and not with your family as you saw on the screen. In this part of extra activities as we used to have, we will be more directed into speaking. We will check some opinions to develop the skill of critical thinking. Now we have opinions that say that behavior and personality complements each other, and others say that behavior and personality actually is of more relative importance, like behavior is more important or personality is more important. For example, if we have a discussion, we would use some expressions related to comparison. We have to know how to compare. Using, for example, behavior is as important as personality. Or behavior is more important than personality. Or behavior is less important than personality. So using the comparative expressions, let us have something like a very good discussion. After that, let's go to the ideas. Like, for example, if a person says that behavior is more important than personality, he should give me some reasons. So you would say something like, behavior is more important than personality because you are born with your personality, but you can acquire good or better behaviors. Some other people would say personality is more important than behavior, maybe because they think that what you were born with affects your future behavior. Some people would say personality and behavior are the same, maybe because they think that people behave according to the way that actually innate in their personality. So the point is, or how to develop the critical thinking skill, and this is very important, try to have some organized plan or organized ideas. How to develop that? When you speak spontaneously, you have to read a lot, and you have to be able to think for 1 or 2 seconds before you start speaking. Now, how to practice, how to apply what I have just said? I want you to form groups of students, and each student and each group, would have a theme to talk about. Who thinks personality is more important? Another group would say that behavior is more important. Another group would say that both of them complement each other. Let's check that, and you can send your comments. Thank you, and by that we are finalizing our second episode.